Quick thought experiment. Would you wear your nicest fancy dress shoes to go running or hiking up a mountain? Or would you wear a nice pair of running shoes, say a $200 pair of Nikes, to your dream job interview? No, right? We need to talk about Hall effect switches and what they're really for. And yep, we're looking at a Wooting board today. This is the OW60 and no buddy, it is not cheap. Hey everyone, welcome back to Scoop Bar. Today we're looking at the OW60, a new case from Owlab's built specifically for Wooting's analog Hall effect PCBs. It's heavy, it's well machined, and it comes with a wild suspension mounting system. And it is not cheap, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But this thing is not just about looks, it's about purpose. So if you're chasing after that perfect endgame Wooting setup with enthusiast grade hardware and a softer typing feel, this could be for you. Let's break it down, what makes it special, and where the Hall effect scene needs to grow. So out the box, this is classic Owlabs. Excellent machining, beautiful finish, and a lot of little parts. But the aesthetics stay clean and minimal. The big highlight? A suspension style mounting system. Not a gasket, not top mount, but a spring-loaded setup that isolates the plate and softens the bottom out feel. It is way more comfortable than stock Wooting cases and feels closer to a high-end custom. We did run into some prototype issues, 2 missing screws and a suspension element that wasn't functioning properly, but Owlabs was quick to respond in sending us a replacement. Solid support as expected, which is typical for Owlabs. Wooting leads in the Hall effect software, analog mapping, rapid trigger, mod tap, all that good stuff. But their hardware, it's pretty basic to put it nicely. And that's where Owlabs comes in. They bring in enthusiast grade materials, better acoustics, and smarter mounting. Together, they're asking, what if a Hall effect board felt as premium as the software already is? For anyone new, Hall effect switches detect magnetic field changes instead of relying on physical contacts. So what does that even mean? It means there are 0 debounds. You get analog control and adjustable actuation point, and there are no mechanical wear. The pros from all this? You get lightning fast response, no chatter, and incredibly smooth key press. The cons? It doesn't have the best sound, and it's still early in the switch variety, and aftermarket support is often quite limited. It also feels very different from MX switches, and that's important because trying to make Hall effect sound and behave like MX switches completely misses the point. Let's settle one thing right now. Can you actually make a Hall effect board sound like a well-tuned MX build? We put together a quick A and B clip. The first half is the OW60 with Owlab's titanium switches with GMK keycaps. The second half is the Neo65 Cu with lubed MX blacks on same GMK set with an aluminum plate. Take a listen. The difference is immediate. The Neo65 Cu has that classic MX depth and sounds fuller to me. The OW60? It's a bit lighter, a bit thinner sounding, and maybe just me, I feel like I can hear metallic sound from the magnets. And that's exactly the point. Different switches, different goals. Think of it like this. You wouldn't tune a Jeep Wrangler to break lap records at the racetrack, and you wouldn't expect a Porsche GT3 to crawl up a rocky trail. Both are high-performance machines, but built for totally different kinds of performance. And it's similar here. Hall effect boards are your precision performance machines. Trying to force them to sound and behave like an MX board is like trying to add mud tires to your Ferrari. Wrong tool, wrong focus. And more importantly, if designers have this outlook, they'll be able to focus on things that matter to the end users. And we as the end user will be able to enjoy Hall effect boards when we have proper expectations and understand its purpose. Most people use Hall effect boards are gaming with headphones on. They're not chasing a particular bottom-out sound or a marbly spacebar sound. They want precision and speed and hopefully a softer, more responsive typing feel. And that's where this board shines. It skips the gimmicks like flex cuts and foam stuffing. Instead, the suspension system changes the actual dynamics of your key press. It's a feel-first approach and one that makes a big difference. And speaking of feel, keycaps matter more than you think. At least I was surprised by this. The texture or density or even the way they bounce back can shift both feel and sound. And here's the fun twist. On Hall effect boards, I actually prefer PBD keycaps than ABS. Check this out. So to me, CRP balances out the higher pitched sound from the Hall effect switch. Maybe it's a density, maybe it's a texture, but if you're tuning for sound, I think PBT is worth looking into. So can Hall effect boards sound better? Absolutely. I think you can accomplish that by applying some good MX design lessons, like using a heavier case or weight for fuller sound, add force breaks to kill any pings, swap metal standoffs for nylon and silicone ones, isolate your plate to dampen the vibrations, but again, don't chase an NMX sound profile just for the sake of it. The magic of Hall effect is in the feel, not the sound. Now, given there are inherent challenges to design in Hall effect board that MX boards do not have, particularly Hall effect sensors are designed to register inputs quickly, and a stable and rigid mounting design helps maintain that responsiveness, which is why typically you see a lot of tray mounts for Hall effect boards. And I think this is one area making the type feel less rigid and more comfortable for Hall effect boards that designers should really try to focus on. But back to sound. Here's a clip comparing two modern Hall effect switches. The first half is the Geon Raw and the second half is the TTC King Magnetics. The Geon Raw switch sounds a bit softer and quieter to me, while the TTC King Magnetic is a bit brighter, punchier, and just more of that traditional gaming switch and tone. So Even from one Hall effect switch to another, there is a degree of variance when it comes to sound, but they sound nothing like an MX switch, and they're not supposed to. And one more thing, RGB matters for Hall effect boards, because after all, this is still a gaming first format, and RGB is part of that language. I would love to see future premium Hall effect boards go all in on creative lighting, like per key effects, edge lighting, layered diffusion, both form and function. So yes, the OW60 is very expensive, like $400 expensive. It will not be for everybody. Just the same way, premium designer MX boards are not for everybody. However, if you're an MX enthusiast and turn your nose at this board because you think it's a $400 tray mount case, I think you're missing the point. Here's the big picture. I would love to see more enthusiast tier options for both Hall effect and Topre boards. Not because they need to become like the MX side of the hobby, but because they're good enough to deserve nice things. There are people in those parts of the hobby looking for a more premium experience. Let Hall effect be Hall effect and let Topre be Topre. Just give us better tools to build each one of them so we can appreciate each for its unique qualities. Before we wrap up, here's one last comparison. Same board, the first half is the Owlab titanium switch and the second half is the Wooting Lekker. The Lekker to me sounds louder and springier, more raw, whereas the titanium is more refined, especially with this case and mounting system. So here are my final thoughts. The OW60 is a hardware upgrade for people already sold on Wooting software. And Wooting is ahead of all their competitors by a long shot when it comes to software. So it's nice to see Wooting now willing to spend some effort improving the hardware front. The OW60 is clean, it's well designed, but most importantly, it prioritizes typing feel over Force MX mimicry. Between the suspension mount, the Owlab's titanium switch support, and the more refined sound profile, this is a major leap forward for premium Hall effect design. And I cannot wait to see how the Hall effect enthusiast space continues to grow. I would love to see more Hall effect boards that are type feel centric to compensate for the rigid mounting restriction for Hall effect boards, embracing the RGB unabashedly and making it, pun intended, shine. The OW60 is not for the MX enthusiasts out there. It's just not. And the good news for all of this is that there are plenty of options available to us already. This board was not meant to be a Geon F1, the Singa Kohaku, or the TGR chain. The OW60 is for the Hall effect enthusiasts that want something nicer and more premium. For so long, they've been looking on with envy with all the options the MX side of the hobby have access to. So, are you on Team Hall effect or Team MX, or you enjoy both for their own qualities? Would you daily a premium Hall effect board like the OW60, or stick with something more traditional like the Neo65 Cu? Drop your thoughts below because I really would love to hear from you, and we're always reading the comments. And if you like this video, please go ahead and like and sub and stick around for more Scoop Bar content. And also, we have a list of affiliate links in the description down below, along with codes that can save you a little bit of money. All of those give us a small kickback, which helps us continue to make better content for you all. Love you all, and I'll catch you in the next one.